What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm very excited to tell you guys about this new palette to me, and this is a Melt Cosmetics Muerte palette. Now this is a palette that was released, I believe, in 2017, maybe 2019, somewhere around there, and it caught the internet by storm. It went viral, beyond viral at that point, and I just never got my hands on her. I didn't want to like buy her on Poshmark or Mercari for an obscene amount of pricing, and I'm really glad that I waited because I have some thoughts. I have quite a bit of thoughts in today's video. Unfortunately, it won't be as detail oriented as they usually are. I will not be having any swatches or anything like that. I just don't have the time right now, but I will be doing a 3 looks 1 palette, and I will be going into product details still. So I hope that is still enough. As soon as I have the time to swatch this palette, I will go ahead and swatch it, and I will have those swatches available not only in my community post here on YouTube, but also on my Instagram as well. Like, again, I'm so sorry, but I had quite a few last minute things come up that I was not expecting, and they kind of flipped my world upside down, and it caused me to not have as much time as I really wanted to dedicate towards the back footage type stuff on this palette and this video. So with that said, if you are interested in seeing the 3 looks and then hearing kind of the product details and all that jazz, and then of course at the end I will still be giving you guys my thoughts on this palette, then just keep watching. Alrighty guys, so like I said, I have the Muerte palette. This is the packaging and this is the actual palette. The packaging does mirror the palette detail, which I really appreciate. And on the back it says that there is a 12-month shelf life, 17.73 grams or 0.625 ounces of product. It is recyclable. It was made in the USA and it's distributed from Melt Cosmetics through California, and that's pretty much that. Did I say 12-month shelf life? I believe I already said that. So that's kind of all of the information that is on the box packaging. Let me see if there's anything else information wise. There's nothing else information wise on the actual palette. As you can see, there are 10 shades in this palette, and there's a nice variety. There are only 3 shimmers, but the rest of course are all mattes, and I personally love the dominance of the mattes. That's because I personally love predominantly matte palettes, so do keep that in mind. I will be talking kind of about formulation of this palette in comparison to some of the others that I have recently picked up and just have from Melt Cosmetics as a whole. So those are kind of all of my thoughts, and you know what, I'm gonna do B-roll on the actual palette. So I'm gonna do B-roll right now actually on the swatches of the palette. I can't do an Instagram photo, I just don't have the time, but I will swatch them on my arm right now to give you guys some B-roll, just so that you guys can see. Right now I'm gonna have the swatches, just one swatch so that you guys can see what they kind of are, quote unquote, in true pigmentation, and then right after that I will have another video showcasing them built up to swatch, just so that you guys can see potentially what they would look like in like an Instagram photo. But of course at the next segment of this video you guys will be seeing 3 different tutorials from me, and then at the very end you'll be getting my current thoughts. Sometimes my thoughts do tend to change, not a lot of times, but do just keep that in mind when you're listening to my thoughts. Of course I will do my absolute best to give you guys chapters in this video because I'm sure it's going to be quite long. And with that said, let's just go ahead and get into the tutorials. And if you're wondering, this is the tutorial for look number 3. So I hope you guys enjoy all of the looks, and of course as always comment down below which tutorial is your favorite. And if you do go ahead and recreate any of my tutorials and you have social media, feel free to tag me. I would love to see your recreations because I'm sure you guys are doing bomb at them. So yeah, let's just get into it. Hey guys, so let's get into the first look. As you can see, I've already done one eye. This eye is already primed, so let's just go right into it. First, we're going to start off with my Sigma E42 brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Duelo. I'm going to apologize already. My Spanish is atrocious. My coworkers try to help me, but doesn't seem to be getting any better. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take that, and I'm going to start by really pressing that on this outer V area. And eventually, of course, I will be blending it out, but I really want to focus on the placement of this color first. Then I'm going to take the same shade and go right around my lower lash line. This is pretty much going to be the only shade down here, other than like the other shade that I'm going to use to blend out. So then what I'm going to do is just start the blending process. The blending process is really going to get defined a lot more with my other brushes and my other shades, but I do like to kind of start with the actual brush that the shade is on. Next, I'm going to take a bigger, fluffier brush. This is the Smith 247, and I'm going to go into Lagrimas, I believe. I'm sorry, once again, I know I'm butchering it. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this and just kind of slightly put on top of this outer portion, and then of course go in as well. So this is just going to help to kind of blend this whole crease better. And then of course I'm just going to do the same thing on this lower lash line as well. I like to do very simple looks, so hopefully this isn't too complex, but hopefully it also brings some fun. All right, so that's pretty much my crease. I will be deepening it up a little bit more, but let's get into my lash color or my lid color, and that is going to be Katarina. So this is the darkest blue shimmer, and I actually just went ahead and used my finger. I do prefer Melt Cosmetics shimmers with my finger. I just find that it adheres to my lid a lot better. And with this particular one, there is a slight shimmer in there as well. So I did want to try to kind of get that to appear on my lid. Okay, so to deepen out this outer V even more, I'm actually going to go into Pation, I believe, which is the gray. And I'm going to use a Sigma E30 brush, which is their pencil brush. And I'm just going to kind of deepen out this outer corner. I'm going to really try to stick towards that lash or the lid color, because I don't want it to deepen out everything. I just kind of want to add some depth. And I'm also going to kind of go along this lash line just to add some very, very subtle depth. You're not going to probably even see it, but it will be helpful if you don't get all the way to that lash line with whatever your lid shade is to do something like that. And then I do like to kind of go back and just blend just to make sure. I also do want to just add a little bit of that gray on the lower lash line just to balance it out. Just personal preference. And that's pretty much the finished look. The one thing I did forget, of course, is my inner corner highlight. And for today's inner corner highlight, I'm going to go ahead and use the lightest shimmer that is blue, which is Angelito, I believe, right here. And this is a BK Beauty 207 brush, and I'm just going to put her right in my inner corner. Okay, so that's pretty much that. I'm just gonna go ahead and off camera, I'm gonna do both of my liners, my mascara, my lashes, all of that, and then I will come back to show you guys the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. I really think that this looks really pretty. I'm very happy with the eye look. If my base looks a little off, do just be kind. I've had this base makeup on for about 5 hours now. I just got back from hanging out with friends and I wanted to go ahead and film this video. So that's why it looks the way it does. But other than that, that's all I got for look number 1. Of course, everything that I have on my eyes and my face will be down below. If you wonder what my lip product is, it is my Huda Beauty lipstick in Gold Digger along with my Project Pan lip liner, and then on my cheeks is my Rare Beauty cream blush, and I believe Love. But like I said, everything will be down below. And yeah, let's get into look number 2. Hey guys, so I'm here to bring you guys look number 2, and I'm very excited to do that. Today's look came out a lot darker than I was expecting, but I'm all good with that. So let's get into the tutorial. So I do have my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base down. I do just kind of get a lot of use out of this base, and it's just the easiest one for me to reach for right now. First, I'm going to take a Hakuhodo J5523 brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Valero, and this is really going to be where I get a lot of depth for this look. I did not expect this shadow to be so deep, but I'm honestly not mad at it. It's super deep, especially compared to the pan, what you see, and so that really is exciting because I was kind of wondering where I was going to get the depth for kind of the red look if I wanted to stick towards red tones only. And as you can see, this comes out to be a very deep, like eggplant type shade. Really pretty. And I just want to kind of lay the product down right now, and I will go through and kind of work with it afterwards. Then I'm going to take a brush from Coastal Scents. They're no longer a brand, so it really doesn't matter. And I'm gonna just take a little bit of Sangre, which is the next kind of lightest red tone. I'm just gonna take a bit of it, not a lot, and I'm just going to slightly blend out that shade in my outer V. Okay, very lightly. As you can see, it pretty much looks like I just blended that shade out, didn't really add a shade. Then I'm going to take a very fluffy rougher brush. This happened to be a prototype, so I don't know the real number, but I am going to go into this shade right here, which is Corazon. We're going to go with Corazon. That sounds better than my first attempt. And I'm going to mainly fluff this in this inner crease area. I really want the majority of the product to there, and then I'm gonna very lightly kind of add it to the outer edge of this whole kit and caboodle. And you know, hopefully over at the end they will both kind of be this elongated shape as I kind of did on this eye. Of course, as always, go back with your brushes as you see fit to make it work the way you want. So nice and dark and sultry, and quite a bit of gap on my lid, and I did that on purpose. I'm actually going to go ahead and use the lightest shimmer in this palette, which is Calica, I think. Calaca. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I told you Spanish is something that I've tried to learn and I'm a failure at it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this all over my lid and also in my inner corner. And as you can see, this is pretty much the finished eye look. All I need to do is add my liner and mascara on this eye. I think I also am going to throw in some lashes just to kind of finish the look. And yeah, I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. Alrighty, so like I said, this is the finished second look, and I'm really enjoying it. It is super basic, super normal or typical. If you were kind of given this palette, I'm sure a lot of people would really stick to the blues and then really stick to the reds. I wanted to showcase how you can see so much depth in both kind of color families, but tomorrow's look I definitely will be mixing and matching at least some of the blues and some of the reds, so I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to see where my creativity takes me when it comes to that color combination. But with that said, like I said, this is the end of second look. If you're interested in any of the products that are on my face, check out down below. I will have them all listed again for all of my various looks in this video. And yeah, let's get to look number 3. Hey guys, so I'm here to bring you guys look number 3, and as you can see, I've pretty much already done one eye off camera, and I'm really excited to show you guys how I did it. So for today's look, I'm really focusing on just kind of lightly blending these shades, as I am blending 2 different kind of color families. I did try to stick with more warm tones throughout both the 2 shades to kind of blend them together, and I think it ultimately came out nicely. The only thing I would kind of change if I could is I would have brought this red a little bit more in. I feel like the blue really dominates this look, and I would want that red a little bit more. Maybe I will off camera. But anyways, first I'm going to go into my Worker 2 from Sonia G, and I'm going to go into Valerio. This is the darkest burgundy-ish shade, and when applied it pretty much looks like a black. I actually really like that. It really gives you some depth, and with burgundies I really just love a good amount of depth. So I'm really just packing her on this outer V area, and I am going to slightly blend her in as well, still packing. I don't really want to blend with this particular brush, and I'm just going to take a little bit of more product on the tip of the brush and just do my lower lash line. Of course, I am going to really work on making sure that outer V area is really connected. You guys know that is a pet peeve of mine when it is not. Now that I've taken a predominant amount of that product and really applied it to my actual lid, I'm just going to slightly blend the edges. I find that just slightly blending with this brush really helps. And so that is what I am going to do. Okay, so that's pretty much all that I'm going to do with this brush for that particular shade. Then I'm going to take the brush, I'm just going to go into my color switch and clean it off. I just really liked the feel of this brush for this particular technique. And then what I'm going to do is go into Noche Eterna, this shade, the more kind of true blue, and I'm just going to pick it up, same brush, that Worker 2 from Sonia G, and I'm going to pack it on the inner crease. Now with doing this, I don't have as much kind of area. I find that I typically put the majority of the product with the first outer V shade, but per usual, just lightly blending. This is going to become a little bit more seamless when I get my second shade, so don't really worry too much about that, and don't worry too much about blending the 2 shades, although I do kind of like to just lightly blend in my own way that time. Then what I'm going to do is take the rougher brush. I believe I used this in the last tutorial, and this particular brush is the P07D. This is a tester brush, and I am going to first do my outer V shade, which is with Corazon, so it's the bright red, and I'm not going to put too much product on because I'm really just using the shade to blend out the outer edge and low-key to set my brow bone highlight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm literally just going to blend out the outer edge of that shade, and it will be good to go. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. Like I said, take as little product. You can always build product in this area, but you can't really take it away, especially because you're so close, or I do it so close to my actual brow. Make sure you only start off with a little bit of product. And then I'm gonna go into Lagrimas, I believe, which is the second, well actually the lightest matte blue. And I'm going to take, just once again, a little bit of product, and I'm going to blend out that inner crease. Once again, you can always add product. You can't take it away, and really adding the product is just to help it blend out and blend in that crease. The only caution I would say is make sure you don't over blend, because it is going to give you kind of a purple-ish tone, but try not to over blend. Alrighty, so now we're ready to do my lid shade, and for my lid shade, of course, I'm just going to continue to use my fingers, and I am going to go into Angelito, I believe, which is the lightest kind of blue shimmer. This is a thicker formula, so keep that in mind. I just prefer picking it up with my finger when it comes to a thicker formula. but you could also use a brush that you spray with some form of fixing medium or water to really get your brush to really pick up the product. Okay, so my lid shade is down. Then what I'm gonna do is actually take yet another finger and I'm gonna go into Kalaka, which is the lightest shimmer in general with this palette. And I'm gonna put this not only in my inner corner, but also kind of slightly in the beginning of my lid shade. I just really wanted to kind of add some real nice lightness to that inner corner. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a smaller brush. This one happens to be from the Sephora brand and it is their 18 or their shader brush. And I'm gonna go back into Valero and I'm just gonna kind of create a faux line. Or liner, if you happen to have like an actual liner or brush, this would be the perfect time to use it. I do have one, I just could not find it. And I found this first, so I figured I could use this product. The thinner the line, kind of the more realistic the liner effect. But you know, it kind of depends on your eye shape and what you really want to depend on how thin the liner is. The only differences between my two eyes is that I have liner and mascara, not on this one, but on this one. I think I'm gonna just throw on lashes just so you guys can see the effect of lashes on this type of eye look. But honestly, for me, every day or just like at night, as I am filming at night, it is all good to just wear this with just mascara. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys the more finished look for those who wear lashes on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, let me just do all of that stuff and then I will come back to show you guys the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. So yes, I know that this lash application is not the best. Probably neither of the lash applications are the best. Be mindful, this is at night. I know it's not going to be on for very long and I just wanted to get them on. So I do apologize if it irritates you, but they're gonna be thrown off right when I'm done with this video. But I wanted to kind of give you guys my thoughts so far when it comes to this particular palette. As I said, I believe in the intro, I have previously really been enjoying my Melt Cosmetics palettes, specifically in this format. The last 2 or 3 that I've really picked up, I've been thoroughly enjoying. So I wanted to go ahead and pick this up just to kind of add to that. Plus this was kind of the one that got away from me years ago. So I did pick it up with the help of some people here on my channel kind of convincing me. And what I will say is that this was definitely one of those I really wanted to get it. And then when I got it, it's pretty, but it's not like a I can't live without as much as I thought it was. And that's kind of going to be the roundabout, very short, concise current thoughts on this palette. I think the blendability of the mattes is still really phenomenal, which is telling because sometimes Melt Cosmetics' mattes aren't the best, but the shimmers aren't the best formula that I've tried from them. So they're definitely not that chunky formula like in the, what was the weed palette? The 420 palette, that the shimmer or two were really solid. They were really thick. I just did not like them. These shimmers aren't the best, but they're not the worst, right? So for me, I enjoy this palette, but could I have kept my money? Yeah, I could have. And would I have still kind of felt that satisfaction maybe with Melt Out overall? Yes. So is this something that I'm gonna say you guys have to spend 100% of your money full price? No. I'm gonna say that if you can get this on sale, as of right now in my current thoughts, go for it. It's not a bad quality at all, but if you've kind of tried Melt's kind of decent shimmer quality, but they're solid matte formula, that's exactly what this is. I don't think that with the knowledge that I have now, I would have ran to pick this up when I did. I think I would have just waited and kind of gambled to see if it went on sale during the holiday, because you know Melt does quite nice sales. I think their sales typically go up to like 30% off, which isn't bad at all. I think at this point that's kind of my base price when it comes to sales. Otherwise your girl ain't doing it. But anyways, I really think that this is a decent quality palette, but if we're comparing it to some of my favorites from this brand, it's the sis is not hitting it. She's not hitting it. Now I do want to kind of end this kind of review portion with this disclaimer. Right now I am heavily gearing towards neutrals, so neutral palettes are really just where my bread and butter is right now. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying more colorful palettes, but it really is the neutrals that are my bread and butter. So maybe that is playing a part into kind of my decision making and my opinions on this palette. Like I said, the actual formula is solid. These are really the true Melt good matte formula. The shimmers, like I said, they're shimmers. They're not the really foily ones. If you've tried the Mariposa palette and you're expecting that really phenomenal shimmer from there, don't expect that. Expect their like semi-good formula. I would say this is comparable shimmer wise to let me get the palette because my brain is not thinking of the name. I would say it's honestly comparable to the Gemini palette. I thought the shimmers were okay in this palette, but really what made it for me was the color scheme, and that's why I loved this palette so much and why it ranked so high in my palette ranking when I did rank this. So for me, if you've tried this formula and you like it, then you will like this. But also, of course, take in mind the actual color scheme. For me right now, this is not a color scheme that I am loving and lusting over. So for that reason, it's just not ticking all the boxes I'm happy to have in my collection, and I think I will get use out of it. But overall, I don't really know. And then of course it does help, or I guess it doesn't help, that I also don't have the other side, so I just like have half a skull. So you know, take that all as you will. I did also want to mention very briefly that when I picked up this palette, I also picked up a highlighter from the brand. It was my first powder highlighter from them, and I got it in the shade Genesis. It is the highlighter that I'm wearing today, and I think it is actually a really pretty highlighter. I really like the formula. So in the event that you wanted to pick this up with maybe the new matte bronzers, so far I think it's a nice formula, and I actually do like their cream blush formula as well. And have I tried their cream highlighter? Off the top of my head, I don't think I have, but yeah, those are kind of all of my thoughts so far. Of course, I will be testing this palette out even more before I do a palette ranking. I have so many palettes that I need to rank, and so many non-palette makeup products that I need to rank as well. So there's probably going to be a week dedicated to those. I just haven't been able to sit down and do it. But that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next one. Friday's video is going to be my update on my beauty project pan, which is basically everything non-makeup that I'm project panning. I do have videos previously, so if you're interested, check out my project pan 2022 playlist and you'll see it there. I update that project every 3 months. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you guys on Friday's video. Bye guys.